The moment Grace stepped into the softly lit café with her 5-year-old daughter clinging to her hand, her heart thundered so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it, because this was not how blind dates were supposed to begin, and she knew it. The whispers, the sideways glances, the silent judgments, they all felt inevitable. But life had cornered her into this moment, and courage was the only thing she had left to stand on. Before the story unfolds, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected love, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories like this. Grace had never imagined she would become a single mother at 27, balancing late-night shifts at a small-town hospital in Oregon while raising her daughter, Hannah, alone. The father had walked out before Hannah learned to speak in full sentences, leaving behind nothing but unpaid bills and a trail of broken promises. Grace learned quickly that survival meant sacrifice. Sleep became a luxury, dreams were postponed, and dating felt like a reckless indulgence she could no longer afford. But her best friend, Rachel, insisted that she deserved more than exhaustion and loneliness. After months of persuasion, Grace finally agreed to a blind date with someone Rachel described as kind, responsible, and understanding. There was only one problem: the babysitter canceled at the last minute, and Grace had no family nearby. Canceling felt like another defeat, another reminder that her life no longer belonged solely to her. So she made a choice that terrified her. She took Hannah with her. As they entered the cafe, the smell of fresh coffee and warm pastries wrapped around them, but Grace barely noticed. Her eyes scanned the room until they landed on a man sitting alone by the window, nervously twisting a paper napkin between his fingers. His name was Michael. He was a single father too, Rachel had said, with a 7-year-old son and a heart still healing from loss. For a fleeting moment, Grace wondered if he would understand. Then fear rushed back in, sharper than before. She imagined his disappointment, his irritation, the awkward apology before he walked out. Hannah squeezed her hand tighter, sensing her mother's anxiety. Grace took a steadying breath and walked toward the table, each step heavy with uncertainty. Michael looked up, his expression shifting from polite anticipation to brief confusion as he noticed the small child beside her. For a second, time seemed to freeze. Grace's throat tightened, and 1,000 apologies pressed against her lips. She began to explain, to justify, to beg silently for patience, but before she could speak, something unexpected happened. Michael's face softened, and a quiet, gentle smile spread across it, the kind that reaches the eyes. He stood, pulling out a chair not only for Grace, but for Hannah too, as if her presence made perfect sense. In that moment, a crack opened in the wall Grace had built around her heart, and a fragile hope slipped through. The evening unfolded with surprising ease. Hannah, shy at first, soon found herself drawing pictures on a napkin, while Michael listened attentively, occasionally glancing over with a look that held no trace of annoyance. Grace spoke about her long shifts, her exhaustion, her constant worry about providing a better life for her daughter. Michael shared his story of losing his wife to illness, of learning to cook, braid hair, and pack lunches with notes tucked inside. Their shared struggles wove an invisible thread between them, binding them through empathy rather than attraction alone. By the time they left, the rain had begun to fall outside, and Grace realized she was smiling in a way she hadn't in years. Days turned into weeks, and their connection deepened. They met at parks, libraries, and quiet diners, always with Hannah and Michael's son, Lucas, in tow. The children formed a friendship that bloomed quickly, their laughter echoing across playgrounds and filling empty spaces in both households. Grace watched Michael with his son, the patience in his voice, the tenderness in his gestures, and felt something stir inside her, a cautious longing tempered by fear. She had been hurt before, and the thought of exposing Hannah to another potential loss terrified her. But Michael never rushed her. He seemed to understand that trust was a fragile thing, earned slowly through consistency and care. One evening, after a particularly grueling shift, Grace arrived home to find Hannah asleep on the couch. Wrapped in a blanket Michael had dropped off earlier with a bag of groceries and a handwritten note. It was a simple message, reminding her to eat, to rest, and to remember that she wasn't alone. Tears welled in her eyes as the weight of years of struggle pressed against her chest. No one had ever taken care of her like that, not without expecting something in return. In that quiet living room, surrounded by the soft hum of the refrigerator and the gentle rise and fall of her daughter's breathing, Grace allowed herself to believe that maybe life had more to offer than survival. But happiness, when it finally arrives, often awakens old fears. As their relationship grew, so did Grace's anxiety. She worried about moving too fast, about the possibility of disappointment, about what it would mean if this fragile family they were building suddenly fell apart. One afternoon, while watching Hannah and Lucas chase each other across a field, Grace felt a familiar ache tighten in her chest. Memories of abandonment resurfaced, whispering that nothing good ever lasted. That night, she nearly pulled away, ready to retreat into the safety of solitude. But Michael sensed the shift. He didn't demand explanations or offer empty reassurances. Instead, he simply showed up, day after day, proving through action what words could not. The true test came unexpectedly. Hannah fell ill with a severe infection that landed her in the hospital, her small body hooked to monitors, her breathing shallow and labored. Grace barely left her side, surviving on coffee and sheer will. Fear clawed at her, threatening to unravel her completely. When Michael arrived carrying a small stuffed bear and a bag of warm clothes, Grace broke down. He stayed through the night, taking turns watching the monitors, whispering encouragement, and reminding Grace to rest. In that sterile hospital room, under the harsh glow of fluorescent lights, Grace realized that love was not grand gestures or perfect timing. It was presence. It was staying when leaving would be easier. Hannah recovered slowly, and with her healing came a profound shift in Grace's heart. She no longer saw herself as a burden or an inconvenience. She began to see her life, with all its scars and responsibilities, as something worthy of love. Michael never made her feel like she had to choose between being a mother and being a woman. Instead, he embraced both, understanding that they were inseparable. Together, they built routines, traditions, and small rituals that stitched their lives together in gentle, enduring ways. Sunday pancakes, evening walks, bedtime stories read in alternating voices. These simple moments became the foundation of something extraordinary. As months passed, the question of a shared future loomed quietly between them. Grace was hesitant, but hope had taken root too deeply to ignore. One autumn evening, beneath a sky streaked with amber and rose, Michael invited Grace and the children to a small lakeside park. The air was crisp, and fallen leaves crunched beneath their feet. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden reflections across the water, Michael knelt, his hands trembling slightly. He spoke of love, of gratitude, of the unexpected miracle that began the night Grace walked into a café with a little girl by her side. Tears streamed down Grace's face as she realized that the moment she once feared had become the moment that changed everything. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that love often arrives in the most unexpected ways, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe for more stories that celebrate hope and resilience. And before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment the word faith if you believe that kindness and love can transform lives. On their wedding day, surrounded by friends, family, and 2 beaming children, Grace reflected on the journey that brought her there. The fear, the doubt, the exhaustion, all of it had led to a life richer and fuller than she ever imagined. She understood now that bringing her daughter on that blind date was not a mistake. It was an act of courage, a declaration that her life, in all its complexity, deserved to be seen and cherished. And in that brave choice, she had found not only love, but a family, built on compassion, patience, and unwavering support. As the sun set behind them, casting long shadows across the celebration, Grace held Hannah close, her heart overflowing with gratitude. The world was still uncertain, still imperfect, but it was also brimming with possibility. Sometimes, all it takes is one step into the unknown, one moment of vulnerability, to change everything. If this story moved you, if it stirred hope or reminded you of the beauty of second chances, please leave a comment and let us know. Your engagement helps keep these stories alive, reaching hearts that need them most.